I'm curious how, if you're able to talk about it, how you were mentally going through that stuff. Because obviously, there's very little things that could have been harder than that. So how did you handle it mentally?
So for me, my mental state at the start, I was really confused. When I did wake up and get into the told about the situation, I thought literally I got checked from behind. Like when I woke up, looked in a hospital, I thought, okay, I'm in a hospital. My neck is sore. I got checked from behind, and I had to leave the game, and I'm in the hospital right now because I left the game. That was my first thought process. So I asked my parents how'd the game go, and they said, "What game are you talking about?" Like, did we win our game? Like there was no game. And so that was like kind of weird for me to process. And so then they told me about the crash, told me who was here, who wasn't. And I didn't even know my injuries actually until after my physio appointment. Because I go for my physio appointment at like 2 minutes later. Once they told me that, because I was waking up from a nap. And then I kind of came to everything. And so I think at that time was a lot of confusion. I didn't really believe it. And then I went back and I looked at Twitter, and there's still like tons of stuff. And I there's like in my room, there's Broncos gear all over they had my jerseys up in the back, and it felt a little weird. It like didn't feel real. And so then later that night, I went to send a text to my roommate, Stephen Wack, who was one of my best buds, and like we were really connected. And he was the one sitting behind me who tapped on my shoulder about the song. And I was just shoot him a text saying, "Hey, how you doing?" kind of thing. And I remembered that he won't be able to receive the text and that he's not here anymore. And then that was like really when it hit me. It was that evening, and it didn't really make sense because people behind me passed away, people beside me passed away. It just it wasn't making much sense, and logic behind the reasoning of it. I kept asking the why questions, but really later on that night, I found out that the why questions will never be answered, and that I could sit here and ask why for my entire life if I wanted to, and I would never get an answer. And I think that was when my acceptance kind of kicked in. I had a bit of survivor's guilt. I felt bad that I survived and they didn't. Like we had a 16-year-old on our team who was destined for like amazing things. We had even the younger guys too. Like there's lots of them that had such a bright future. And even the parents like Darcy who had children at home and a wife, like, yeah, it didn't feel right. And I had that survivor's guilt for sure of why I was here and why others weren't. But then my mindset kind of kicked in and said, like, you know what? I'm here. I need to make something positive out of this. Like, I need to live my life to the fullest for those who aren't here and to enjoy the life's grind and to find the positives over negative and to focus on the things I could control. And so for me, I was dealt with a lot of stuff before my life previously, before this crash, which I think did help me in the coping process. But then during it, I thought, like, if I wasn't here, how would I want the people who survived to live their life? And that was one of the big things for me is like, if I was gone and I wasn't here, I'd want survivors to be happy. I want them to follow their dreams and passions and to really enjoy life to the fullest because life can be gone fast and you can see it in that instance. And to really make the most of it, follow their passions, follow their dreams, but to really just be happy. And so for me, that was what I wanted to do was to treat myself if I wasn't here and how I'd want myself to live my life. And so I've done that ever since, and I've done that even beforehand. But now I have like that much of a reason to do so for my 16 family members. So I think the mental health aspect was huge, or like trying to move past it, to accept it for what it is, and then to reframe my mind to focus on the things I can control. Like I can't control a semi driver. I can't control who's here, who's not here. Even I can't even control my injuries. All I can really control are my actions, my behaviors, and how I want to move forward from this.